Hi, Ramona Gailey here, coming from beautiful Sky Valley, Georgia, my new chalet, my summer home. I'm here in the winter, but it's my summer home. So, welcome to my home. And I want to talk to you today about telling a new story. So, when I was younger, I had a story about, well, I had quite a few stories, but one of the stories included that I was a little bit of a scaredy cat. There were two things that loomed large in my childhood, times that I had kind of chickened out from doing something that involved jumping off of a high place. One was the high dive, and one was a zip lining thing that we went on when I was in junior high school. And I let that start to define me and tell me, and I would tell the story over and over again that I'm, afraid of heights and this and that. Or even just to myself, like, I'm not sure I could do that. Like if somebody said, I want to go skydiving, I'd be like, oh man, I could never do that. So, and long before I met Abraham Hicks and started learning how to control my own thoughts, I had been studying for a while with Tony Robbins and Chloe Madanes for my coaching training. And also I had read Tony's books for years in my own self-development. And he taught a class or a workshop called Unleash the Power Within. And I went to the workshop to walk on fire. And a friend of mine had gone and had talked enough about it that I was starting to think, this is it. This is when I'm going to change this story about myself. And I went and I did it. And I walked on hot coals with my bare feet and didn't get hurt. And better yet, didn't chicken out at the last minute. And I did that by allowing Tony to hypnotize me. Basically, he hypnotizes, or he helps an entire room of 3,000 people get in state. He does it over and over and over and over again. And so I let him basically help me control my thoughts, and therefore my feelings, and therefore my beliefs, and therefore my actions, and therefore my results at that time. And now I tell a different story. And I've continued to shore up a new story after I met Abraham Hicks. I started studying all of that and going on the cruises and to the workshops and practicing every day and reading every day and listening every day and really focusing on controlling my thoughts and, just learning that one skill and learning how to change my state and learning how to tell when I'm feeling what I'm feeling. And then I went to the Cancun land cruise and I went ziplining. Now this was a direct repeat from something that had happened in my childhood. I mean, a do-over. And so by that time I had been telling a new story that I was not afraid, that I was confident, that I was strong, that I was safe, and that I was adventurous and all these other things. And so when it came time to do the zip lining, and then I did not chicken out, and I did it. And I also did some rappelling down into a Chenote, which is an underground river, and did all kinds of adventurous things on that trip that also just really solidified. So when I was choosing what Tony Robbins calls table legs. A tabletop is your belief and your story, if you will, that says, I'm pretty or I'm ugly or, I'm rich or I'm poor or whatever it says. And you can take the table legs that you're using to hold that up, the memory of something your first grade teacher told you, read Tony's books to read all about this table top idea. But I was basically just took out those old legs and put new legs in. And you can actually do in physical action to create new legs, or you can just think something over and over again to create a new leg. You can fantasize, pretend like basketball players, imagining taking the baskets with their eyes closed, just imagining shooting baskets over and over, and their scores improve and their abilities improve. And every professional athlete does this as a matter of course now. But so you can replace those table legs of your belief with anything. And in my case, it was with physical action, along with a lot of just changing of visualizing and whatnot. So. And then more recently, I went skydiving. The thing that I had said I could absolutely never do was sure that I would never do. It was tandem skydiving. In other words, there was an instructor strapped to my back, or I was strapped to his front, however you want to say it. And so I didn't have to learn how to pack a chute. I didn't have to learn, a bunch of stuff. I did the indoor skydiving first to kind of practice. There's a certain position you want to get your body in right away, and I practiced that. That was really a lot of fun. And again, not scary at all. And then when I got to the actual skydiving, I was so ready. It was the most exhilarating, the most the most present, the most now, the most intense, awesome experience that I've ever had. I mean, I call on it at least once a day. That experience, I could recall it at a moment's notice and put myself right in state. So from going from Tony Robbins putting me in state putting me in the state for me, basically, to my being able to put myself in that state myself, that was a journey. And but it's all about telling a new story. So now I'm adventurous. I am exciting. I am a risk taker, and I'm in a good way. You know, I'm not an adrenaline junkie. I still don't tell that story, but I'm capable physically, and I'm capable of so much more. And I know also on behalf of my clients and everybody on the planet, we're all so much more capable than we give ourselves credit for in general. So I'm telling a new story, and I've changed a lot of stories in my life. I used to think that only people were a source of unconditional love or any kind of love. I just couldn't get with the program that there was a God or a source or a universe out there that was flowing unconditional love towards me at all times. And I came into a point in my life where I needed to change my story or I wasn't going to survive. And so I changed my story as a survival mechanism at first. And just changing that story then brought the ray of hope. And then that ray of hope then brought focus and action and committed intention and whatnot. So, and then that just changed my entire life. So it was a decision point. And telling a new story is exactly that. It's a decision point. It's a decision you make. And when you make it, then new ideas, new options start to come to you to help you to rebuild the new story the way you want it to go. And another great one, the most recent one, is the enjoying. If you're a member of Blissapline at all, you know about the enjoying phase that I went through, where I decided that I was just going to be annoyingly joyful because I was tired of being joyful with all of my Abrahamster friends and all of my clients and by myself and with a couple of other close people, but yet wearing kind of a public face everywhere else. And I was starting to feel kind of schizophrenic or like I was in the closet. So, and I don't like being in the closet in anything. So I decided I was going to come out of the joy closet and be annoyingly joyful and just let the people who weren't on that vibration think that I was stupid or arrogant or selfish or whatever they were going to think. Like, how dare you be joyful in the face of war or in the face of, injustice or whatever. And so I came out of the joy closet, and what I discovered was that nobody was annoyed because once you make a commitment to really tell a new story, like I am a joyful person, and my attitude at the time when I came out of the closet was deal with it. It was almost like a militant kind of a thing. But what I found was that when I am absolutely in my alignment, purely joyful, not wobble joyful, like I'm joyful, but what if somebody sees me, or but what are they thinking about me, or but, you know what I'm saying? So as soon as I became 100% joyful out of the closet, like I'm just joyful, I can't help it, it's not my fault, almost like, using the vernacular that so many people say, So once I did that, the people who were really struggling, who were really far away from that vibration, they couldn't see me. They couldn't hear me. I couldn't annoy them because I didn't exist to them. It was really dramatic, a really dramatic demonstration of it. Everybody who was on my wavelength could feel me coming. They would be writing paperwork and turn and look, like, oh, who's that? They could feel my vibration coming. And that was different from before, where I had been joyful but, joyful and, joyful if, joyful, not 100% joyful. So when I'm 100% joyful, I don't get to annoy anybody. So I got to miss out on that, but it was still a success, which I think is funny. But, and every once in a while I do get to annoy somebody when they're kind of wobbling between joyful and something else, or they kind of, they're drawn towards me, but then they're drawn back towards what is, and what is frequently whatever they've got going on, some war or crime or whatever it is. And so I do get to annoy some people, enjoy some people every once in a while. But in general, the new story is that The people who are on my wavelength will naturally be drawn to me, and I will naturally be drawn to them, and nobody else even notices. Really, seriously, it's like we're on two different planes. And that's my new story. And that new story is fun. It's helpful for helping me to keep my joy. I don't have to like go back and forth on it. It helps me keep a more consistent, pure vibration up high where I like it to be. I used to always say, in fact, you'll even hear it tapes it within this program where I say, my 10, rate your feelings 1 out of 10, my 10 keeps rising. I seem to kind of stay around a 7, which is fine because my 10 keeps rising, which means my 7 keeps rising. But I would say, sometimes I wish I could live at an 8 or a 9 most of the time. And ever since I came out of the joy closet, I am living at an 8 or a 9 more consistently. So again, new story. So I encourage you to let any old stories go that are not serving you and find new ways, new stories, and new behaviors that all work together in tandem to create a completely different life. You can create any life you want by telling a new story. All right. Thanks for watching. There's great love here for you. Bye-bye.